Mr. Amanda, for that insight. Dear our teachers who are viewing right now and stakeholders, right from the local government at the district level, where we have the district education officers, the district inspectors of schools, and all those at the district level, because this is very, very important for you. You need to tune in and then listen and continuously guide our teachers down there, because you manage these teachers right from the primary level to secondary level and even other tertiary institutions. Yes, you have asked about what could make the teacher registration rejected in the process. There are a number of questions that have also been asked by public, and say, you know, my documents have been rejected. I have not got a certificate. What could be the reason? So it is within what you're asking. Teachers, what could cause your documents or you not to be registered or be rejected? One, if you attach documents which has the mismatch of names. If you have different names and you do not go in for an affidavit to harmonize, to synchronize your names, at the technical level, we doubt whether you are the rightful person. Therefore, you are likely to be referred or rejected, but with a reason, explaining that could you explain why the names are differing within your documents. So that's one of the reasons. On the other side, the documents that are attached must be satisfied by the awarding university and even the examination body, which should be originals. If you attach the documents and we are not satisfied by the university that awarded you the teaching qualification, we reject, or you are likely to be rejected. Even the system does not allow that. If you attach your documents not in a PDF format, because the system was set in a format that it can only allow your documents when they are in a PDF format. If they are not in that format, they will still be rejected, and they will give you a reason as why they are like that. Also, the other part is that if you don't attach all the necessary documents, for example, you miss, for example, senior 4, you must attach the result slip and the transcript in original form. A level, also a transcript and a certificate in original form. So if you don't attach any of those, and yet you want a certificate either for grade 3 or grade 5 or university, you are likely to be rejected. Very importantly is the national ID. The national ID is what we considered. We had to eliminate all the other national other IDs, identity cards. For example, some of them could attach the university ID. This system is only considering the nationals. Those are the ones that are supposed to get the registration certificate. If you are a non-Ugandan, you can only be given the opportunity to be given the license, but not the registration certificate. At the moment, that's the stand, because we wanted to get the actual data of the teachers that have been trained, and they are the ones that we want to take care of as a ministry and as a country. So those are majorly the areas that can cause a teacher to be rejected.
Yes, coming to Wilbur, because last time we were here, we were looking at the standards and the implementation standards, and we see that is the area actually you're more familiar with. So now let's look at, because we had only looked at one implementation standard, what are the other implementation standards of this national teachers policy?
Yeah, like I said last week, the policy stipulates a total of 12 implementation standards, and the second standard in that policy is about initial teacher training and accreditation. Now, this standard so states that the minimum qualification for a teacher in Uganda shall be a Bachelor of Education degree, or a bachelor's degree plus a postgraduate training in education. And the bachelor's degree is going to, in education is going to last 4 years. As we speak now, bachelor's degrees in education are taking 3 years. But according to the policy, the Bachelor of Education degree is going to be 4 years. And that 4 years, you'll allow me to adjust my mask. That 4 years is going to be occupied by content acquisition, acquisition of teaching methodologies, and soft skills. So there will be a mix of teaching and practice. So within the 4 years, one of the years is going to be a year of internship.
That is the last year.
So it will be 3 years plus 1 year of internship. That may come in the final year as to be, it is yet to be determined because the programs are still being developed. Now, the other aspect that the public needs to note is that there will be specialization. The teachers to be trained will either specialize in pre-primary, primary, secondary, or tertiary. And at all these levels, teachers will specialize in specific subjects because that is a question people have been asking. For example, today, a primary school teacher is considered a general teacher to teach all subjects. That's not going to be the case because we are going to admit students who have completed A level where they have been specializing. So they will continue to specialize in their line that they specialized at A level. For example, if someone offered sciences, that candidate will continue offering sciences if he is taking a Bachelor of Education. So likewise, the same happens with humanities. Now, the other aspect is that UNITE, the Uganda National Institute of Teacher Education, which is being established, is going to be responsible for coordinating all initial teacher training programs in the country. So, it means UNITE is going to collaborate with other training institutions, including the universities, which are already training teachers. And the collaboration is going to be in a number of dimensions, both developmental programs, actual training, and practice. Now, under this standard, the policy also calls for the establishment of demonstration schools for every teacher training institution. So, for example, if you have a university training teachers for secondary schools, it means that Faculty of Education must have an attachment to a school where the students are able to practice regularly to serve as a demonstration school. So the same happens if it is for training students to become pre-primary school teachers or primary school teachers. There must be a demonstration school. And the purpose here is that teaching in the classroom must go with practice. So the demonstration school is going to act as a laboratory where the skills which are being taught are practiced. So the other aspect.
Yeah, I think you bring in the issue of demonstration school. Of course, this is something that we are familiar with because the ITEC had Chambogo College School. Yeah. Makerere University had Makerere College School. Yes. You look at the other PTCs, they have actually demonstration schools. Yeah. So it's something that really has been on, and people are really familiar. Only that now this time around is that given that now PTCs are being upgraded to university faculties or to universities, that they have now provide degrees, we don't know how demonstration schools, perhaps how should what should be now the requirements for a school to pass as a demonstration school, because now this is something that has to be addressed. Because when you look at when they went grade 3 colleges, because have demonstration schools for that level. So now that we are having graduates training as primary teachers, so what should be the standards of a demonstration school?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Just like you have said, all these training institutions had demonstration schools, or they have demonstration schools, but something happened along the way. If we take an example of primary schools, when the decentralization policy came in, primary education was decentralized. And when it was decentralized, the management of these demonstration schools was handed over to the district local governments. However, before, these demonstration schools were under the management of the colleges, and the colleges were even responsible for recruiting the best teachers to ensure that they serve as role models for the training of students. Now, today, these schools being under the management of the local governments, it is a bit of a complex issue where sometimes the services that are required of a demonstration school cannot be effectively received by the college, because the college does not have a lot of powers over a demonstration school. And the policy is saying we need to get back to the initial status where the demonstration school is fully under the training institution.
Yes, Godfrey, I think this brings us to your sector, the private sector. Because every person who goes through an education institution, actually before they can be absorbed by government, they pass through the private sector. And this is actually has been the case with education, that you find that somebody can even spend as many as 10 years in the private sector trying to. Therefore, let's look at all these developments. Where do they leave the teachers in the private sector, especially those now that would wish perhaps to go back and get the requirements? Secondly, private schools and private universities, how do they come up with an arrangement so that they can work together? You see there is a private university and also having maybe a private school that is a demonstration school.
Thank you so much. Now, we need to get the basis of the private education service in Uganda. It is the responsibility of government to provide education to its citizens. However, the policies of government have kept changing over time, and then the emergence of private education. By and large, private education came here first in 1972. And we had basically one private school. But if you go to interrogate further to get the details, even today, government has very few schools in this country. Majority of the schools are government aided, but they do not belong to government. Most of them, they are either religious founded, both in Christian and non-Christian denominations. Then the others are community schools, and then the private schools. But the status quo now, as we speak, by and large, the secondary schools now which we have, which are purely private, nowhere government aided or where government funds, they have exceeded those ones which are government aided. And even the primary levels, they are also soon catching up to that level, though government is slightly a bit higher. Now, today as we speak, we have this policy, which is the national teacher policy, which has got to be implemented. Now, Mr. Wanyama was laboring to explain on issues of standards and why this policy came into being. There are no more demonstration schools in this country in the practice of the sense.
We have demonstration schools in name.
In a name, okay. But the practice is not there. And now you have private schools, including teacher training institutions, where you have both colleges and universities who are training teachers. And when you look at this policy, we are targeting the quality of the teacher. Now, you are challenging the status quo. The way things are, I don't want to go deeper into the implementation aspect of these policies, but my focus is mainly on this teacher. Because now we want this teacher to be a quality teacher. If this policy is put into place, where we have the National Teacher Council and the Teacher Education Institution, the Institute of Teacher Education, these two bodies coming into force, to have this policy implemented, then what you asked can be addressed. But today, the way we are, things are just the way they are because they are. There are so many issues, and the challenge comes into implementation bit of it. Because there are other underlying factors why we are the way we are. Now, fast forward. Because we have so many private schools running at all levels, pre-primary, primary and post-primary, including universities. So what do? We reach out to government, and then we also get a working relationship with the government to educate, to sensitize, to disseminate this information to the private sector. One, to be aware that there is a policy, because that one is very, very important, people to know that there is a policy. Because so many people don't know that there is a national teacher policy in existence. Now, when we come on a national broadcaster, at least we begin on that one. People get to know that now there is a national teacher policy.
And I should not stop at knowing, actually, if you are a teacher, if you're a stakeholder in the education sector, you need to get a copy.
Yes, we shall reach that. Slowly we are building. Now, after knowing that there is a national teacher policy, so we go into it. What does it entail? What is contained therein? And then thirdly, what is expected of me as a practicing teacher down there in the field to do? And that is the whole essence as to why we are here. Now, we are requesting the entrepreneurs, the proprietors, who are commonly referred to as the school directors, to have a mechanism on seeing to it that they are in a position to catch up with this national teacher policy. The beauty with it, my colleagues are here, we have the Education Standards Agency, which is supposed to see to it that the education standards of this country are adhered to. And then you have the inspectorate at the district level, where you have the district inspector of schools, who are supposed to see to it that these policies are implemented the way they should be implemented. Now, there is the other bigger part of also having a paradigm shift, such that the implementers, the other bigger stakeholders within the education sector, are at the same level with us who are debating here, such that the implementation of this policy is well adhered to and it doesn't die a natural death.
Well, thank you very much, Godfrey. Back to Moses. Of course, going to your area of teacher management and information systems. How many times should really a teacher register? Or how many times is one required to register?
Yeah, thank you, Amanda, and our viewers out there. This is a very good question because it has always been asked from the public and even on phone. For us at the headquarters, they are always asking these questions. However, on the other hand, they are asking because there is a gap and they want clarity, especially where my colleague is coming from, the private sector. Private sector, they have been asking the same question. How many times should a teacher register? Ideally, the teacher is supposed to be registered once. And that is, once you get a teacher registration certificate, there is no need again to register as a teacher. However, there are those teachers who were trained and they treasure the profession. They have really interest in whatever small document or whatever level they have achieved, grade 3. This person wants that recognition. They say, now, how do they know that I really trained as grade 3, grade 5, much as now the level we have reached is a degree level? Is it wrong if, for me, I get my registration certificate for grade 3? Yes, you said no. This is your own struggle. You struggled for this qualification. You can apply, and we'll give you your certificate. Yeah, Amanda, this certificate is not only used in the teaching profession, but elsewhere, people are getting jobs. And wherever they have an opportunity to say, I want a grade 3 teacher, who trained as a grade 3 teacher, as you have a degree, this person wants that person because the competences vary. This person is beginning a school, this private sector, and is beginning at that level. He wants to handle the child at primary level with the teacher who trained in the competences of handling the child at that level. And this teacher, even if you say, I'm a graduate, I have a degree, I progressed up to this level. He said, where is the evidence? Therefore, this one, the teacher requires, and you say, you know, I want my certificate because it's going to help me elsewhere. He had even those of grade 2. There are those schools which wanted those teachers. You recall that the way those teachers of grade 2 were trained is different. And they really had the competences and the passion for the job. So they have these competences that an employer needs and require that person. These people have been asking for this. So it gives this teacher to get registered more than once. Even at diploma level, somebody says, yeah, I graduated from grade 3, I need that certificate. Grade 5, I need my certificate. So that is building up, yeah, the documentation, the career. This person struggles a lot to get to a degree. Even others go to masters, yet they were grade 3 teachers. Therefore, it is a pride for them, and then they want to use those documents. For us at the ministry, he said there is no policy that refuses you to register as many times as you can. But ideally, for us, when you register, because that's what the teacher policy, that's where we are moving to. Once you have registered once, these other documents are showing the competences that you have, the qualifications that you have, the subject matter that you have, what is shows that you trained as a teacher to suit to teach in the class. That's what requires a certificate, and that's what we have been doing. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Moses. Yes, Wilbur, I see, when it comes to the implementation standards, I think that is now the gist of the matter, because as they're saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Yes.
Because I believe even desensitization is part of the arrangement to have this implemented. Yeah, but still getting to the issue of unity coordinating, coordinating teacher training in the country. We just want to look at our primary teachers' colleges. Currently, you find that even some of them do not have enough tutors, actually. Now, with the policy says they are now going to start awarding degree programs. Now, the government has actually failed. I may not say failed. I don't know which one I can use, because when I say is yet to, maybe let me bring it down there. Government is yet to provide tutors to teach grade 3 certificate, and now here we are saying that they should start awarding degree programs. Even private universities, actually, some of them do not have manpower because they actually use part-timers from public universities. So let us address the issue of human resource. Where are we going to get the lecturers who are going to do this good job for us?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I think that's a genuine concern, that the issue of human resource is critical when it comes to training of the quality teacher that the policy is talking about. However, I also want to say that the policy is cognizant of that, and the reforms that are being proposed in the policy are going with a lot of planning. We may not have the education system, teacher training system, running the way it is, because there is a lot of work that is ongoing to establish how many tutors, if I may say, or lecturers have the desired qualifications to teach students at degree level. And if they are not enough, then how many more will be required? So these institutions are not going to start training students at degree level using lecturers or tutors who do not have the desired qualifications to teach at that level. Because it's even a conditionality by the National Council for Higher Education that to teach at degree level, you must have a minimum of a master's degree. So at least you must have a qualification above that one that you are teaching, because you cannot teach someone of whom you are at the same level. So that should not worry the country. The implementation of the policy is moving very cautiously. And the process of establishing unity is also taking into consideration what is the human resource capacity at the moment, and what do we still need. All that is being considered. So the country should not get worried about that. But at the same time, those lecturers or tutors who do not have the minimum qualification to teach at degree level will be encouraged to go and acquire.
Encouraged or facilitated?
Yeah, both will do.
Oh, okay.
Depending on the resources which are.
I can supplement here.
Yes, please do.
Now, you see, there is a challenge as we are talking now. This policy is very good. But remember, it has a period of 10 years, 10 years of grace. So the assumption is that within these 10 years, we shall have moved a recognizable milestone. Some of these gaps which we are referring to...
That is assuming other factors constant.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Assuming all other factors remain constant.
Okay.
So the assumption is that at the time when phasing out of the non-qualifications takes effect, we shall be up and running, and we shall be at that right position. For example, now, the TIMIS, which is going on, registration of teachers, and that's why we are encouraging whoever is a teacher, if you qualified and you are a teacher, you have the qualification of a teacher, please go online and register on TIMIS. That will help us to have a data bank of all teachers in this country. And then the next level, we shall be able to identify where are these teachers and at what level does each teacher that we do have on the national register belong. Is it a degree? Is it a grade 3 certificate? Is it a diploma? Is it a master's degree? So that we are in a position to know. And even those ones who will be teaching teachers at the university level, they must have the pedagogical skills to teach these teachers. Unlike as of today, where you only go to deliver academics, knowledge-based. But now we are saying for you to be a teacher trainer, you must have the qualifications of being a teacher. So even if you have those qualifications, as Mr. Wanyama is talking about, of a master's degree, you should also go and have a postgraduate diploma in education, so that you have the pedagogy to teach teachers. And that's the professionalism which we are talking about. And this policy majorly looks at the teacher. And our target is to have that teacher so that we can have the quality teacher in this country. Thank you.
Yeah, just
before I still want to Godfrey, because Doctor, I just want to pick one scenario from the Nigerian system.
Yes.
Yeah, because when actually, it's one of the countries that has the more numbers of universities. But there was a deliberate effort of where government really facilitated people who wanted to upgrade. And this saw a number of university colleges being turned into universities. The same approach actually was used by Kenya. So why don't we also use the same approach here? That where you have a number of teachers who are perhaps out there, maybe you can see, just like it was before, that from NTC they would give you a minimum. I mean, yes, at least a minimum of 2 years before you can what? You can upgrade. And then after 2 years, then you'd be free to upgrade just like that. So why also don't we come up with such an arrangement, perhaps supported by government, so that by the time we roll out this program, at least we have a human resource that can fill almost half of the PTCs to do that good job.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, you see, my colleagues will add on, because for them they're in government. I know for a fact government sponsors teachers at different levels of education. In colleges, a good number of students who are at grade 3 level, they are sponsored or paid for by government. At the diploma level, that is at the national teachers colleges, they are paid for by government, and others they are paid for privately.
Privately, yes.
The same applies at the universities. You have heard when they talk of they usually conduct interviews. The only challenge is that government takes fewer numbers for those who are going to train in education at the university level. But there is that consideration. Now, Mr. Wanyama will give us more details on how government does it when it comes to sponsoring students who are going to offer education at the various levels. But I know for a fact, government pays for a few students who are going to study education at tertiary level. But even then, originally, all education at the university level was being paid for by the government. And the policy, there was a policy shift. So government only pays, I think, today for 2,000 students at the university level. But again, there is also another big batch for science students who are being paid for by the government. Now, however, because we need the human resource, we are still a developing nation. We need the human resource, we need people to be educated, we need people to get acquainted with the knowledge base. So the private sector covers that gap. And those who can afford, they are able to pay for their own education, and then we are able to be where we are today.
Well, thank you very much.
Now, if I may just add to what Mr. Busoboza has said.
Yes, please do.
You know, there are a number of channels through which government supports students to study. Like he has already mentioned, there is that direct sponsorship, which is where 4,000 students are sponsored at tertiary level. But there are also others. For example, there is the Students Financing Board, which is commonly known as the Students' Loan Scheme. So that one provides loans for students and who pay later when they have completed their courses. Then there are also direct scholarships which are provided and offered by different countries. So we have a number of programs, but still government is also looking at the situation and looking at the different options, because it is in the interest of government to ensure that we have the right human resource to be able to implement this policy. And that's not withstanding. To start implementing the policy may not necessarily require all the institutions to start training at degree level. There may be rationalization of the institutions to see vis-a-vis the human resource that we have, where do we start from? So government is looking at a number of options, and at the appropriate time, the nation will be told about the decisions which have been taken. So we should not worry that implementation of this policy may start with human resource which is incompetent to implement it. That one, government is very aware of that. So those who already have the required qualifications may immediately take on the implementation, but those who don't have, in one way or the other, will be supported to acquire those qualifications.
Yes,
not all institutions may start training at degree level.
Now, of course, this is food for thought, because this is food for thought, because ideally this is a program that needs to roll out, so that within 10 years, every PTC, every NTC is actually an affiliate college of Unity, and that can only work if the required infrastructure and human resource is in place. And 10 years is not a lot of time.
And just for your information, when we talk about primary teacher education, most of our primary school teachers hold a grade 3 teacher certificate. And for you to move to the degree level, you need to go to first of all get a diploma.
A diploma, yes.
And the beauty is that our staff in the primary teacher colleges do qualify to teach the diploma students, because they have a minimum of a bachelor's degree. So no one is going to be laid redundant. And we also have other avenues of keeping them employed. We have the outreach through the teacher development management system, where we have what we call the coordinating center tutors, who provide support to the practicing teachers in the schools. So even that area, we don't have enough of them. So if we find that we have been able to pick out those who can teach at the degree program, those will be reserved for the degree program. Then we may also have some going out to support the existing teachers, and others teaching the diploma program for those upgrading grade 3 teachers.
Yes, going to Moses, I think let's look at the cost now involved in registration. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Amanda. I've loved this. Is still very interesting. It is the question that has puzzled so many teachers out there, because some of them somehow, somewhere, they have led into a trap and have been paying heavily for this certificate. I need to tell the public and our moderator, and you continue advocating for us as a sector. The registration certificate is free. We don't pay any coin. It is not paid for. However, because you know that we still have a very big gap among our teachers as far as ICT is concerned. They have low competences in terms of ICT. The knowledge of ICT, that's why we're advocating that, you know, one of the cross-cutting issues as part of the national teacher policy, that this teacher policy is advocating that should be addressed in all teacher institution teacher training is ICT. Integration of ICT.
ICT, accessibility of electricity,
Yes.
the availability of electricity. So there are a number of, also even computer centers. So there are a number of issues.
So ICT is very critical. Why? Because we want these teachers to get the ICT skills, because it's an area that we are advocating that should be an integral part as far as teaching is concerned. It should be a pedagogical tool for teaching and learning. And if the teachers had got this early, they would not be cheated right now. So a teacher right now requires the internet, in the environment where there is internet, needs now the resources or the facilities that can as enablers for this teacher to register. Therefore, we'll need to go to a cafe where may not access, maybe at school, needs to visit the cafe, and the process goes on. And you know, some of them have been cheated there, that you know, this certificate you need to pay for the money. So in the process, much as that is a service, there are those even who have traveled from up country, they come to Kampala here, at the ministry, within the corridor, they meet the conmen. And even women, they tell you, you know, for me I can get for a certificate, you just wait, give me your documents. Within a short time you will get this certificate. And you will say, how much should I pay? This teacher is ignorant, doesn't know, is even ICT, you know, scanning your documents. My friend, scanning your document takes a lot of electricity, a lot of power. And my machine, you will see, you even touch and see how it will come out when it is hot.
No,
so there is a lot of money that it costs to do that.
No, Moses, I wish that the ministry should really come up with motivators for registration. There was a time when there was a recruitment ban on actually secondary school teachers.
Yeah.
And most people who trained as teachers saw no reason to register with the ministry, because most of them, actually every other time you see an advert, you see a number of teachers rushing to go and register.
Okay.
Yes.
Moderator, I might come in here.
Yes.
You see, what Moses is stating is talking as a public officer, as stipulated by law. Today, in the private sector, teachers are not working, a good number of them. Since the coming in of the COVID-19, very many teachers
have switched professions.
I haven't reached there, but I want to tell you the ones who are still teachers, they are not earning. They are out of the teaching. I don't know where they are. Some have switched off the professions, they will never come back into the teaching. Others are just there, God for us all, and they are surviving under the mercy of God. Even those who are teaching, the few of them, Moses has alluded to it. The knowledge gap in ICT is still big. A number of them don't even have a simple email address. And they have to create an email address. When you talk of Gmail and Yahoo, it is totally news in their ears. They don't even have the money, they can't afford. Forget about the government infrastructure of failure to have the internet where they are, or having the ability to purchase a smartphone where they can access it. And even then they have to upload, because you have to scan these documents, have a PDF, name it. It's a big task. However, I requested the ministry, and I will now say it on air here, that you don't have to reinvent the wheel because you are doing a TIMIS registration by the teachers. In Uganda, in every district of Uganda, there is an education office. And in that education office, there are teachers who are managed by those education officers.
Especially primary teachers.
Even secondary school, because they don't live in isolation. Secondary, they belong to the center, and the primary, they belong to the local government.
Yes, yes.
But that is now the government arrangement. But here we are talking about the teacher holistically, both private and in public. Now, those education officers manage those teachers. And you do not have to create a new staff for registering a teacher. Let those officers at the district level take charge, because this is a government program. Teacher Management Information System. Please, may you reach out to these teachers who are suffering. You see, there are so many things which happen in this country, and you wonder why they are happening.
Yeah, maybe if I also want to get, previously there was a practice where every district had a district teacher resource center. Do we still have them?
The resource centers may not be there. I don't know. I know very few. I think I found it somewhere in one of the districts in Uganda. I don't remember which one, where we had a teachers resource center. But by and large, they have all fizzled out. But for this particular one, you don't have to employ staff. The people are there in office. The teacher only needs to come and access your office, and in that office there is a computer.
And a scanner?
And a scanner. Please, help out these people. Have these documents, let the teachers open emails, scan their documents, have them uploaded, and then they should be able to be put on the system. It shouldn't be a big deal. I'm getting phone calls all over. And some of them are real physical stories, and which is the truth. People are being fleeced.
And frustrated.
And they're getting frustrated at the same time. People are moving miles and miles to go and register, and they are being charged exorbitantly, a lot of money. And what is happening? They're getting frustrated, and the whole system is going to be killed. It is going to be nipped in the bud, and we shall not get what we intend to get.
So,
yes,
Amanda,
you've heard from Godfrey, because actually this is the situation down there.
Yes.
And I'll give an example of a place like Karamoja, where from Kabong, the nearest station where you can get such services is Kotido. And getting a car to and fro Kotido is another nightmare. So I think his approach would be the best.
Yeah, I think what you are saying is right, and that's why we realize that actually, and that's why we support from UNESCO. That's why we are on this broadcasting television, so that we are able now to clear that gap, that blackout within the teachers, where they are being exploited within just a simple process, and that you can access this. However, this arrangement is on, and it is not only on media like this, but we have also arranged face-to-face. We shall be moving to to Moroto, the Karamoja sub-region, and we interface with the categories that you're talking about, the DOs, the DISs of all those districts. They are read through face-to-face, and they take charge of continuing to support those teachers. Because we realize the process is still on, there are so many teachers who haven't registered, and they are up country. So within Arua also we shall be moving there, and that is our target. So how can we reach the teacher who is out there, who cannot raise funds to travel to Kampala? And this system is now, it's only that they are not aware. You don't need to travel now a long distance. You just move to the nearest cafe with your documents. But because there is that ICT gap, that's when they end up being exploited. But we are trying now to reduce that gap through here, that you don't need now to move to Kampala. Most of them travel, and yes, I've come to register. As we said, we introduced the simplest approach of how you can register online. That's why it is called online registration. Even on your phone, smartphones, you can even register. You have your documents, upload them, they are there, then you go through the process. Yeah. Just within the nearest cafe, other than spending money coming to Kampala at the ministry headquarters, can utilize the nearby cafe, only that be conscious that really, how much does it cost for me to do this? And I think it might be less than even 2,000. For a cafe, minutes, the first batch is 1,000. For it to finish the process, you go with your documents, scan, put them together, upload, fill the form, submit, and you wait for the results. The only challenge, if you don't have your own email, that's the challenge where they have been having. Using the emails of the cafe, people who have supported them with everything now to be managed by the cafe person. That's where the challenge is.
I just see that we still have a big road, or a big journey, or a long journey ahead of us. Yeah, because from what is being discussed here, you imagine every teacher has passed through Makerere, has passed through Shambogo. But remember, there is this one who went through PTC and in Kabong, in Moyo, and perhaps the farthest they have traveled is Kotido. So when you talk of an email, they even don't know what you're talking about. Now let's get to the other standard. Yes.
Just to add to that, to what Moses has been explaining.
Yes.
I think that the ministry is making effort to disseminate this system so that people are aware. But we also welcome views as to how the system can be improved. And by going out to reach and talk to the people out there, I think a lot of ideas will be gathered and the system will be improved. There has also been a question of Ugandans who have trained as teachers but trained outside the country. The policy that does allow such teachers to register. However, they need to have their documents
certified,
equated.
Yes, okay.
And it is the National Council for Higher Education.
First of all, certified by their colleges.
Yeah, by their colleges, and then they are taken to National Council for Higher Education for equating. Now, once National Council has equated them, then they qualify to register. They go through the process, the normal TIMIS process.
Yes, well, I can see time is not our best. I will begin with you, Godfrey, your parting shot.
Yeah, thank you very much, viewers, for having been part of this audience. This is what I've got to say as my parting shots. One, teachers out there, please let each one of you get a personal email address, and this email address should be a Gmail. In case you don't know what an email is, ask your neighbor, ask somebody who has done it, network within yourselves, and be helped to get an email. Two, when you have your email, you are good to go. Find a scanner and scan all your academic documents and your national identity card, and have it secured on your email in a PDF format. And then you log on to TIMIS. When you go on the TIMIS website, then you will be able to upload that information which you have. Secondly, because this is a policy of government which is non-debatable, we are only discussing it for purposes of disseminating it, please endeavor to improve on your academic performance in terms of qualifications. Move from the level where you are and you go to the next level. In simple language, which we always use in education, we say, you go and upgrade. So that by the time the 10 years elapse, you remain within the system and you enjoy the fruits of being a professional teacher.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So that you're not left off the shores like grade 2 teachers.
Precisely.
Okay. Yes, your parting shot.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to emphasize to the nation that admission of senior 4 students to pursue education courses in Uganda has been banned. And with effect from this year, admission will be for S6 students. And I would like those students in S6 who would like to join the teaching profession, I want to assure you that this policy is setting the profession which you are going to enjoy. Please choose teaching. Thank you.
Yes, lastly, Moses.
Yeah, thank you, our host and moderator. Just to what Mr. Wanyama just said, grade 3, you start planning to join diploma. The opportunity is there, and you'll be supported. Then on the registration online, dear teachers and even the executive directors, those managers of private institutions, and all the teachers, even if you have not got a job, the opportunity can only benefit you when you are prepared, especially in the teaching profession. The advert will come out, and there are many that are going to start coming out. That is an opportunity that you should be eyeing at and be prepared for. But you can only be prepared for it when you're already registered and you have a registration certificate online. Otherwise, by the time you realize you will begin the process, you never know. Things will change at now, we have stopped. And that is an opportunity that you shouldn't miss. That's my call, especially in private sector. Don't enjoy those privileges because you're in the private sector. Maybe you are in a school which is highly paying and you are comfortable there. I'm just only reminding you that that is temporary. You can only enjoy permanently when you are in a government job, the teaching profession. Thank you very much for listening to us.
Well, Emma, thank you very much. So was the Godfrey, Executive Director, Coalition of Uganda Private Schools Teachers Association. Yeah. Then Wanyama Wilbur, Senior Education Officer, Primary Education from the Ministry of Education, and Vatinganya Moses from the Principal Education Officer from the Ministry of Education. Yeah. Yes, I say that like Christians, you know, every Sunday they keep reminding us that we should stop sinning. Yeah. So we should stop. So I would also encourage that the ministry should actually come up with either a mechanism of even running perhaps even adverts on how teachers can register. Yes, they make you simplifying the thing, the issue for them, so that they are not conned by unscrupulous people they meet outside there. Amanda Kola Mazima saying bye-bye.
Because we still have some 1 or 2 minutes.
No, well, I think we can keep the discussion even after this program, and since we have a number of programs that can be discussed next time. Amanda Kola Mazima saying bye-bye. Always tune into BBC TV together with Inspire Uganda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
TMIS is one of the innovations the Ministry of Education and Sports has rolled out to have all teachers register online. This is in line with the spirit of the National Teacher Policy to professionalize the teaching profession and the Ministry's effort to collate teacher data in a single database for better teacher management. Join us as we host officials of the Ministry of Education and Sports to discuss the Teacher Management Information System. The show is sponsored by the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, under the Norwegian Teacher Initiative in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and Sports.
The Ministry of Education and Sports hereby informs all teachers in government and private institutions to register online by logging on to the Teacher Management Information System.
This includes all those who are retired or will retire soon and those teachers who have just qualified.